Tässä jaksossa vaalirankkurit kiertää CPACin käytävillä ja koitetaan saada jutulle näitä CPACin kävijöitä ja kysyä heiltä mietteitä. Mutta Tuomo, mitäs me oikeastaan halutaan näiltä ihmisiltä tällä kertaa tietää?
No kyllä tämän kaiken Trumpin sekoilun keskellä semmoinen ykkösasia ehkä, mikä mua henkilökohtaisesti kiinnostaa, on se, että onko nämä CPAC-ihmiset täällä, jotka tänne konferenssiin tulee, niin onko he valmiita siihen, että Trump pyrkisi kolmannelle kaudelle? Haluuko he oikeastaan, että Trump pyrkisi kolmannelle kaudelle, koska Yhdysvaltain perustuslaissahan nämä kaudet on rajattu 2, mutta Trump sitten pistelee viittailee menemään, että oispa siistiä olla kuningas. Niin tavallaan se, että onko tämä äärijengi, joka täällä on, niin onko he kuinka vastaanottavaisia lopulta tälle idealle?
Toinen, mikä meitä tietenkin tälleen oman navan kaivelijoina, eli eurooppalaisina, eli suomalaisina kiinnostaa, että kun Donald Trump nyt näyttää siltä, että nyt lähdetään vähän veljeilemään veli Venäjän kanssa ja vähän tämä niin Naton suojasateen varjo, miten hyvin se oikeastaan nyt lopulta sitten pitääkään, että mikä on Yhdysvaltain rooli, jos joskus tulevaisuudessa Venäjä osoittaa aggressiota Eurooppaa kohtaan laajemmin ja uudelleen, että kelaako nämä ihmiset, että tulitukea olisi tulossa vai mitä siinä lopulta tulisi mahdollisesti käymään?
Joo, ja semmoinen tulkintaohje oikeastaan, kun näitä haastatteluja rupeaa kohta rullaamaan, niin pitää muistaa se, että nämä ihmiset ei ole siinä mielessä tavallisia amerikkalaisia, että me oltaisiin menty jonnekin, tiedätkö, vaan kieliosavaltioon, vaan kauppaan kyselemään, vaan nämä on just nimenomaan CPAC-konferenssiin osallistuneita ihmisiä, jotka on vartavasti lähtenyt. Ja mun käsittääkseni heillä aika useilla oli joku tämmöinen asema jossain republikaanien paikallisjärjestössä tai muuten aktiivisia politiikassa, että niin kuin ihan tämmöisiä niin kuin kadulta revittyjä perusjamppareita tässä ei siis jututeta. Semmoisia sydänmaalaisasukkeja, niin kuin Markku Ruotsila ehkä sanoisi, niin ei ole heitä.
Kyllä tämä porukka täällä on konservatiivisempaa kuin se semmoinen peruskonservatiivi, mitä näkyy jossain ihan tavallisella kadulla, näin niin kuin silleen keskimäärin. Ensimmäisenä me revittiin tuolta käytävältä meidän mikrofonien ääreen nuori mies nimeltä Zack, ja hänellä oli kaulassaan tämmöinen platina passi, eli tarkoittaa, että hänellä on ollut Fyffenderosta, kun on tänne tullut, ei mikään ihan siis niin kuin tavantallaaja sinänsä, vaan hänellä on access kaikkialle. Ja aluksi me kysyttiin just häneltä, että mitä mieltä Donald Trumpin kolmannesta kaudesta ja tulisiko Yhdysvallat apuun, mikäli Eurooppa apua tarvitsee?
Sorry, nice to meet you. My name is Sammy.
Yeah, Sammy. Nice to meet you, Zach Fletcher.
Nice to meet you, Zach. We're for the first time here in CPAC.
Yes.
And the first question for you is, what does CPAC mean to you? Is this more about meeting other conservatives, or is this more about showing support for President Trump, or how would you define your reason to be here?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the best way to answer that is CPAC is a movement of conservatives and the like-minded conservatives, really honestly, not even just the United States, in the world. It's not about Trump. It's not about, specific people. It's about the movement of conservatism, okay? And realistically, that's why, you look at CPAC now where we have, you're from Finland and you're over here. We have countries being represented all over the world here because the conservative movement is becoming a beacon of hope and light throughout the world, and that's what CPAC represents, is a sense of hope and freedom being shown to the world. That's for me. I don't think this is a big old Trump rally. I think obviously there's a lot of people who love Trump here, but there's also people who are going to disagree on some of the politics from Trump. My thing is nobody's perfect, and anybody who says I agree with everything someone's doing is probably not right in the head. There's going to be certain things that certain people are going to say or do that you're not going to agree with. So
what would you say? What are the topics that cause debate here?
For the longest time, I think one of the biggest things that I've noticed that people are more talking about is just what to be focused on. Okay, throughout the elections, there was a lot of people who really wanted to be pro-life movement. They wanted to focus on pro-life. But some people didn't want to talk about that much because it was a little bit sensitive. And realistically, we've already completed that. Like, we've already pulled it out of the federal government when Roe versus Wade was taken away. But there's a lot of Christians, there's a lot of conservative teams that wanted to put that in the forefront. But some people were like, no, let's like hold that off, right? And it's not that we don't agree with the fact that some people think it's a complete evil and they want it completely banned in all states. But, you know, that's where compromise comes in. But I'll tell you this much, because I've been on left and right events. I've been on both sides. And there's no throwing, there's no attacking, there's no fist fights. This isn't the Canadian versus America 2-3 days ago, throwing punches 8 seconds into the show.
Yeah, that was wild. We saw that.
It was wild. And Canada got the last laugh because they just won last night. But, you know, realistically, for me, this is a place where we can calmly debate, we can calmly talk to each other. You're not having that. You're not having people just go at each other. There's going to be disagreements here, but it's more on different policies and what to focus on, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And people have talked here a little bit about maybe Trump going for a third term. I think President Trump has himself sort of jokingly brought that up, but how do you feel about that? Like, is this sort of movement across conservatives that they would like to see him do a third term, and that would obviously raise again a question about constitutionality of the whole process?
Well, I can actually answer that the best way possible. Here's the thing. That wasn't actually a constitutional thing. So first off, that's probably not going to happen. Trump, if he did everything that he jokes about, the world would be wacko. I mean, he's an entertainer, so he's going to say things. He loves pissing off the other side. He just loves doing it, and it's smart. It's political, right? He's an entertainer first. He has been for a long time. Here's my thing to answer that the best way possible. When America was made, when America was founded, it was not in the Constitution of a term limit for the President of the United States. It wasn't until an amendment passed later on after Roosevelt went in 3 times, and then they were like, okay, let's now pass that and change it and guarded it. That was not an original thing from our founding fathers. So can that be reversed? Sure it can. Things can get reversed in that sense. It's not the core of what of the founding is. However, I'm actually more on the other side of making everyone should have term limits. I think that congressmen should have term limits. I think senators should have term limits. And I think what it does is it makes a sense of like, I'm not here to get rich. I'm here to serve the people and move on. And I really do believe that Trump believes that. I know that. But I just think that here's the thing. It's the next talking point. They're going to say it. They're going to be like, oh, he's going to be a dictator now. But here's what it comes down to. Even if they say that, he has a legal opportunity, if it's done the right way, through Congress and Senate, to actually make that change. It could happen. And then the term limits can go away. So that would be my best way to answer that.
Yeah. So we're from Finland, so we're a neighboring country to Russia. So you might understand that we're a bit worried about Trump's Ukraine policy, or whatever he's saying.
Just get out of it?
Yeah, whatever he's saying right now. Well, what do you make of it?
Well, here's my thing, and no offense to any European countries, but this is what it comes down to. Pay your fair share. I'm sorry, like there's an ocean between us. We got bigger problems. We got kids in our street. We got fentanyl coming across our borders from all kinds of countries. We are tremendously in debt. The last thing we need to worry about is other countries. Like Europe was doing just fine for the longest time without America until World War II rolled around, and we went over there and saved the day. And ever since then, it caused a worldwide policy of America needs to be everywhere. I'm a big believer in pulling out bases outside of the U.S. and focusing. Not to say that we can't help in the future, but if we cannot help our own economy and our own selves before we help other countries, to me, it's not even worth it. I'm not the same way with Israel. We love Israel. We're great allies, but they can pay for it and do all these things themselves. Why we fix America? Then, and it really comes down to trade. I mean, a good example of this. I mean, we owe a ton of money to Japan. How about we call them up and say, hey, listen, you have 60,000 people in your military, and we have millions, and we are protecting your butts if China ever decides to attack. So maybe we start cutting down the debt that we owe you a little bit and try to, and maybe build some defense dividends back to us, right? It's negotiation, you know, and that's what it comes down to. So here's my thing about the war. I think truly, honestly, at this point, Russia and Ukraine don't really want it. I think that, honestly, they're both corrupt countries, in my personal opinion. I mean, there's a reason why they didn't join NATO. Like, all of a sudden, they want NATO benefits, even though they never joined NATO. Like, that doesn't make any sense. They're not true allies to America. They're not official allies. People forget about that. So here's what it comes down to. They need to stop taking all of our money and just spitting out to who knows where, because they can't even actually track the money that he has currently right now. And they need to just take care of what they're doing and get this negotiation done. I think Trump just needs to go in there and say, listen, guys, we haven't moved on from anywhere. Let's just end this deal and be done with it. You know what I mean? Because that's what needs to be done. I don't think you guys need to be worried about Russia.
Yeah, we hope so. We hope so. Yeah. Just like you mentioned that, you would like to see USA kind of take out bases maybe from Europe, like bring the troops home, basically.
Yeah.
And help Europe in case Russia is aggressor to Europe once again. Like, this is what we kind of figure out, like what kind of ally US is. Like, we have DCA agreements with United States, and I think currently we have US troops in Finland, like as we joined
US
NATO.
Troops everywhere. Yeah.
But and obviously, if the worry is that Russia will continue its aggression towards Europe, like within maybe 5 years. Like, there have been sort of intelligence reports that Russia could actually regroup and then, you know, start attacking maybe Poland or anything. Like, how do you see Russian aggression? Like, if Russia shows aggression towards Europe, like, what is United States' role in that case if the peace negotiations have first gone through, maybe US pulls troops back to America, and then again something happens in Europe? Like, how do you see US fit in that scenario?
Well, I'll answer that question to start with a question back to y'all.
Yeah.
What's Finland's national debt? Do you know?
I know it's about 80% of GDP. Like
80%.
80%. Yeah.
Do you know what would you say your economy is rated right now in the sense of livable economy? Like, how's your state of living in Finland?
Good.
Yeah, like the state of living in Finland is good.
Very
like
good.
our problem is growth currently, because, you know, Russia is our neighbor, so we're not seeing any investments or anything. But like overall living quality in Finland is good.
Really good.
But currently, like, we don't have millionaires. Like, you know, like, people come along well.
It's like you almost have a large middle class. Everyone's just doing really well. It's a good economy out there. So let me tell you why I'm asking that question. Do you know what it is for America? We are trillions of dollars in debt. Okay, we have a very our middle class is starting to die, and we have a lot of people who are poor, who are suffering in America. Okay, and why we're spending billions of dollars for other countries, other people, other programs throughout the world, American citizens who are paying for that, for people in Finland and other countries to be just living pretty great. Because guess what's going to happen? You guys can put all your money, instead of going to defense budgets and military training, you can put it all towards your own economy, right? And so you guys are living pretty good, and other countries are living pretty good, whereas our taxpayers are paying for that. And now, because all you have to do is see, U.S. Big Dad, can you please come save me when Russia attacks me? How is that fair? Yep. Why do we have to
be fair, in Finland we all go to military service, like every.
No, I understand that. No, I understand that, to be fair, but at the same time, you know, it's so different than what it used to be. The standing army, it's the technologies. You're not putting money into technologies into the military. You're not putting money into a standing, military weapons equipment. You know, you're not building it up. So it's kind of like I need a big brother. So this is what it comes down to. America is on the other side of the world, in an ocean. You know, we have our own war going on with Mexico, not towards Mexico in the sense of like an actual war, but we have a war on drugs, fentanyl and stuff that's killing our kids here in America. as much as America needs to save the world, we have to take care of our own before we can take care of that. So this is what I would suggest. Finland needs to get together with all the European allies who are right next to Russia and say, listen, guys, can we bolster our military and actually start putting money into the military, and maybe people can start putting money, everyone who's doing pretty well, because there's a lot of really wealthy countries in that area. I know that, because I mean, you look at all these countries, even Switzerland. Switzerland just loves to sit back in their own little thing. But, realistically, they should be all putting all their money together, building up military, building up force, building up defense, and taking care of Europe's problems. That's what it comes down to, in my opinion. Now, if Russia decides to kick down the door and go full blitzkrieg, of course America's going to come out and help you guys at some point. But it's not even close to that point. So people will start wanting to worry and figure out and worry that Russia's just going to keep going. If you really look at the history of Russia, historically, those lands were technically Russia's at one point and all these things. So they have some, I don't agree with it, but they have some sort of mixed up notion where they're going is their land, whatever. But, and you can almost say that about other countries. I mean, Finland, way back when? Weren't they part of the Russian Empire?
Yeah, in the 1900s.
Way back when, yeah. So, I can understand at that point, you're like, well, does it start there or does it keep going? For me, it's got to be a scenario where you have to put your foot down and say, listen, guys, Europe's strong again. Europe has military might, like they used to back in the 1940s. Think of the superpowers.
This is sort of like self-esteem question. Like Europe needs to kind of stand up and get on with it.
Some balls. I mean, seriously, you got freaking France and England were one of some of the biggest powers of all time in military might. They were for the longest time, and they were just like, and then America rolled in and they were all like, oh, all right, we'll pull back a little bit. Keep America having the largest military in the world. It's like, think of the top militaries right now. You got Russia, China, and America. You got these three superpowers, and there's nobody in Europe who wants to step up to the game. I mean, Europe can come together as a group and understand that they're all in it together as a European continent and build a force together and put real money towards defense and towards the war in Ukraine, because you guys know how much money America's put into it for a war that doesn't even touch us. And we've had volunteers go over there and fight in that war too, so I'm not, so for me, it's like there needs to be a point where Europe needs to come together, build a military force, build their structure, pay their fair share, and then America would happily come along and come and save the day if it ever comes to that point. But until then, if you guys start putting start getting off of, off of whatever you guys are doing, and a beautiful country, by the way. I have to say, Finland's a beautiful country.
Have you been to Finland?
I haven't. I actually went to. We did Make Europe Great Again. So we were out there couple of years. So yeah, we're really involved in Europe. So let me tell you guys, we love Europe and we love what you guys are. I'm just trying to play a little tough right now and be like, guys, get your head out of your asses a little bit and start paying your fair share and start getting your defense port up, because Putin does not take Europe seriously. He just doesn't. The only reason why he hasn't even knocked down all the way of Ukraine is because he knows Big Daddy's over here and paying money into it. But it's going to get to a point, guys, where we're trying to stop a world war from happening. And you know what can stop that is Russia understanding that Europe is strong again. Europe is great again, and Europe is ready to fight him and take out Russia, because if you look back in history, Russia was the one that kept losing all the time. If you go back to World War I, World War II, you go all the way back, they got their butts kicked so many times and kicked out. You go all the way back to the Napoleonic Wars, Russia would just be like, yeah, I'm in here, and then they would get kicked out. Guys, they're not that tough. Come on, let's beat them up. You did perfectly fine for years, and now it's time to do that again. That's my thought.
And to be honest, there's quite a lot of talk now, since Trump is talking whatever he's talking. European politicians are like,
now we need to actually do something. So that's an ongoing process now. So
we have to man up.
Maybe this is for the good deal for the Europe.
We're brothers, y'all. I mean, a lot of us came from these countries. I mean, we're from the same area. We used to all dance around the flyers together and worship bulls like 1,400 years ago, whenever it was. So it's time to come together and everyone pay their fair share. And we're going to come down with our Viking ships and come and kick ass if we have to do it. But at this time, you guys got to, man up and get ready to start fighting and fight for yourselves. And we will happily help you once you guys do that. I mean, I promise you. I mean, I know Trump wants that too.
Seuraavaksi meidän mikkien uhreiksi joutui CPACissa se Christopher ja Kayla, molemmat nuorehkoja ihmisiä. Christopherilla oli päässään punainen MAGA-hattu, kun ajattelee, että oikeastaan tällä kertaa väri oli musta. Täällä myytiin lähinnä niin kuin mustia MAGA-hattuja, mutta hän rokkasi tuota vanhaa punaista. Ja kuultiin, että mitä he ajattelevat näistä samoista ajatuksista, että mitä Donald Trumpin kolmas kausi, millaisia ajatuksia herättää ja millainen olisi Yhdysvaltojen rooli, mikäli Yhdysvallat vetäisi joukkojaan pois, mutta Eurooppa tarvitsisi jonain päivänä apua.
What brings you to CPAC? Like in Finland, we know that this is a huge event in American politics, but is this more about, are you coming here to meet other conservative friends, or is this more about showing support for President Trump, or how would you describe your, like why you are here today?
I'd say all of the above. Definitely for Trump, J.D. Vance, Elon Musk, to meet other conservatives that think just like we do. People that are just sick and tired of Joe Biden, his policies, and
Yeah, definitely say what we have going on here in America. It's very unique from what we have going on over in Europe, other countries. It's really to get like-minded people, talking, engaging, collaborating, and think tanks, stuff like that. A lot of networking going on. A lot of people run local groups, national groups. So it's really just about collaboration, kind of building our movement and keeping it going. So,
are there some speakers who you're looking forward to, or? Elon Musk was yesterday, and J.D. Vance, and all the big names. Are you still looking for someone?
Yes, I know Donald Trump will be here tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to listening to the president speak after his election and getting to see him in person. J.D. Vance was great yesterday, listening to him speak. He's a great speaker. Elon, definitely very entertaining. He's always got something to give the crowd, so it's really interesting to watch him. I know a lot of people from the Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, they were also here, and they're just great. So it's nice to be able to kind of go in and out and see who's here, listen to people speak and kind of give their take on what's to come in American politics. So.
Yeah. What do you expect from Mr. Trump's speech tomorrow?
I don't know. I think it's going to definitely be interesting. It always is. I'm not really sure what I'm looking forward to. Just seeing him and being in the same room as him. See what he has to say. If I want to see what other executive orders he's going to push forward.
Wow. Yeah. In Finland, people have noticed that people have thrown around an idea that President Trump could maybe run for a third term. Like, what is the sentiment here? Like, would that be possible? Like, do you guys think that would actually happen if Donald Trump decided that he could be president for the third term, or is it sort of like he throws around it more like jokingly? Like, how do you feel about that?
I think America would be ecstatic if we got another term.
Really?
Trump, yeah.
One thing I would add to that is it's really about how they're going to end up interpreting the Constitution. Again, I'm not going to claim to be the connoisseur on the Constitution, but I don't think it's really possible. It doesn't really there's no real clear path to that. Again, I'm not too sure how they're going to get something like that going. I don't think it will happen, but it really depends on what they. When they read the Constitution, what they're gonna, take from that and how they're gonna interpret it. You're gonna have two different sides. You're gonna have people who are saying, yeah, he can go, he can run another term and have it consecutive to his term in 24. And there are gonna be people who see it as, no, he can't run again because he's already got one term in his pocket. Now he's got his second one. So for him technically going for a third term, I'm not sure if they're going to interpret the law as he can go again. I personally don't think that's possible, but that may be something that could potentially happen.
Yeah. Do you think that this might be a case that actually goes to Supreme Court of the United States and to be discussed? Is that even a possibility?
That's definitely possible. I think it going to the Supreme Court is very likely if this was to go any further. That's even if he pushes the idea of running a third term. But yeah, that's definitely something that's going to be looked at by the Supreme Court. There'll definitely be a lot of back and forth on that, I know. Just within the House, within our government, I think there's going to be a lot of pushback on that. But there's also on both sides. So it could really go either way. But I definitely see it going to the Supreme Court. So
yeah, like, would you like to see President Trump doing a third term?
I'd like to see it. I feel like his first term, they just sabotaged everything, and it was all, just fake news left and right. So I would love to see him get another term.
So there's been a lot of discussion about Ukraine lately and Trump's Ukraine policy. And so Finland is a neighbor country to Russia. That makes us a bit worried. What do you make of it? Should US pull troops from
Europe? Like, I think that's also been discussed that maybe US could pull troops out of Europe, maybe to Western Europe. Now, like even in Finland, we have American troops since we joined NATO. But like, what do you think this thing is going forward to?
Yeah, so I know, especially within the Conservative Party, there is a big divide with if we should or shouldn't. Personally, I feel like I take a more isolationist position where I feel like we shouldn't be getting involved in foreign conflicts, but I am confident that President Trump can get a peace deal going with Russia and Ukraine. So I think everyone would agree with that peace is the best option, especially, we don't want other countries to get involved. I feel like if we learn from history, we won't have to repeat it. So I feel like President Trump is definitely a peacemaker. I feel like that's something very likely that will happen within the next couple of weeks. I know that's something he's been working on very recently. So hopefully that's for the best. Me personally, though, I would take an isolationist approach on it and kind of stay out of it.
Yeah, we all hope for peace because we don't want war in Europe. But I think the fear is that if the peace deal is such a deal that maybe gives Russia time to regroup and maybe show aggression towards Europe again, and if America isn't present at the time, we're wondering what kind of ally US is during that time. Do you think that, let's say, the negotiation deal is they negotiate a deal to have a peace in Ukraine? US pulls troops. If Russia shows aggression in Europe once again, do you think America would be there to help us, or how do you see America's role in that situation?
I would put pressure on England to get involved. They're still a very big superpower over in Europe. We're 3,000 miles away. I personally think it'd be beneficial for them to get involved this time around. I would personally like to see the U.S. step back from that. Again, I really, really hope that President Trump can, get a solution going and get them peace, just kind of like they're trying to do, I think, over in Ukraine. Over in Israel. I'm hoping we can get something like that going. One of his big things is peace and strength. But I really think England should get involved. That's more their circus, not ours.
I have one last, more general question to you, man. You mentioned earlier that you were waiting for Trump to tell the executive actions he's going to take. What are you wishing for? What should he do next?
That's a good question.
I mean, they have done quite a lot already.
Yeah. The first month he's done an amazing job. So I'm just looking forward to see what else he has coming. I love it. I'm not really sure what exactly I'm looking for. He's done a great job so far. So I'm just curious to see what else he has coming.
Näin kuultiin Zachiltä ja Christopherilta ja Keilalta. Kiitoksia heille, että varsin lennokkaasti lähtivät mukaan, kun yhtäkkiä random 2 jantteria Suomesta tulee kysymään, että hei, meillä olisi tämmöinen itsenäinen podcast. Tulisitteko meidän kanssa jutulle tästä kaikesta? Ja sitten siinä lähtivät, että amerikkalaiset, ne on kyllä semmoista jutusteluväkeä, että eivät kyllä sinänsä mikrofoneja pelkää, jos niin mikrofonien läheisyyteen hakevat. Tässähän täytyy muistaa, että me hengattiin semmoisella alueella, jossa tämä kaikki muu konservatiivi media plus vaalirankkurit oli siellä niin pyörimässä, että nämä ihmiset oli semmoisia, jotka hakeutuu oikein median äärelle. Mutta Tuomo, mitä ajatuksia sulla jäi käteen näistä vastauksista, mitä me kuultiin Donald Trumpin ajatuksista tai tähän mennessä vitsailuista, mutta että sitä esitellään jatkuvasti yhä enemmän, että 3. kausi incoming?
No just se, että kun mehän me oltiin viikko journalistisen kulttuurin kehittämissäätiön rahoilla Washingtonissa, niin se aika mitä me CPACissa oltu, niin mehän kierrettiin tavallaan yhdysvaltalaisen demokratian monumenteilla siellä Lincoln Memorialilla ja Washington Memorialilla. Ja
Civilization-pelien kiertue, kuten me sitä kutsuttiin, kaikki tuttuja peleistä tämmöisenä wondereina, mitä pystyy rakentamaan, kun sivilisaatio kehittyy ja kasvaa.
Philadelphian Independence Hallissa siellä katsomassa, että tässä on tuolla, jolla George Washington oli ja allekirjoitti itsenäisyysjulistuksen ja perustuslain ja teki tiedäkö kaikkea mitä ja loi instituutiot ja vallan kolmijako-opin ja tämä järjestelmä on 250 vuotta kestänyt ja tämä on mahtavaa ja näin. Ja tavallaan kaikissa noissa vastauksissa näkyy se perintö, mikä siellä on, se mihin amerikkalaiset on pantu uskomaan, että tämä on niin kuin nyt se meidän järjestelmä, mutta sitten toisaalta siinä heijastui hienosti se, että no on tämä Donald Trump kyllä, tiedätkö, aika kova äijä, että varsinkin Keila oli silleen, että vitsi kun vaan voisi, niin kyllä mä haluaisin, kyllä tämä olisi niin kuin mahtavaa, että jos Trump voisi sille 3. kaudelle mennä.
Joo, sillä oli niinku mielenkiintoista, että kyllähän niinku heidän ilmeistään heti kun me se kysymys esitettiin, niin näki, että tämä on jossain määrin semmoinen paha paikka tai semmoinen ilme, että here comes the trouble, että tämä niinku tietää ongelmia ja sitten he niinku kaikki aloitti sen oikeastaan aika samalla kaavalla just sen vastauksen, että no tätähän täytyisi ehkä sitten jonkun perustuslakioppineen niinku selvitellä ja että menee varmasti korkeimpaan oikeuteen, mutta sitten sieltä tulee se olisipa siistiä, jos Donald Trump tosiaan olisi sitten sillä 3. kaudella, että eivät he niin kuin silleen kategorisesti ainakaan niin kuin kieltäneet sitä, että miten fiiliksissä he olisivat, mikäli tässä mentäisi tohon, että tiedätkö, että ei kuulunut semmoista puhetta missään nimessä oikeastaan missään muuallakaan, että demokratia olisi niin kuin hyvä, että on tiedätkö, tasapainottavat puolueet ja että valta niin kuin vaihtuu ja puolueiden pitää kilpailla tavallaan siitä suosiosta.
Checks and balances, niin kuin, että se on niin kuin hyvä asia, että Trump tarvitsisi jotain checks and balances tähän näin hommaan, vaan kyllä se on, siellä Strawbellissahan tuli tämä klassinen Pohjois-Korea-tilanne, eli 99% siihen CPACin tämmöisen kyselyyn vastanneesta oli sitä mieltä, että Trump hoitaa hommansa joko erittäin hyvin tai todella hyvin.
Joo, ja siinä oikein korostettiin sitä, että Ronald Reagankään ei koskaan saanut tällaisia lukemia, että Donald Trump on kyllä niin kuin tässä CPAC-jengissä todella suositumpi kuin koskaan ja tosiaan niin kuin alkaa olla semmoisia vivahteita, että kyllä nyt jos vaan keinot keksitään kiertää jollain tavalla vanhaa perustuslain tulkintaa, niin Donald Trump 3. kaudelle on vähitellen tähtäämässä, mutta no tämä on tämmöinen ehkä nähtäväksi jäätilanne. Toinen kysymys oli tämä mielenkiintoinen siitä meidän näkökulmasta, että miten nämä ihmiset suhtautuu Euroopan puolustamiseen, kun me nyt tälleen tuoreena NATO-suomalaisina oltiin siellä pööpölemässä, meille myytiin just sitä, että NATO on tämä meidän suoja Venäjän aggressiota vastaan ja sitten esimerkiksi Christopher hän nosti mielenkiintoisesti esiin just, että kyllä hän on tämän isolationismin kannattaja, että kyllä niin kuin Yhdysvaltojen täytyy vetäytyä maailmalta pois, mutta sitten toisaalta Zach puhui just vähän samankaltaista, mutta sanoi, että kyllä Euroopan täytyy nousta vähän niin kuin itse jaloilleen ja vähän ryhdistäytyä, mistä en ole kyllä sille yhtään eri mieltä hänen kanssaan, että kyllähän tässä nytten viimeisten viikkojen jälkeen Euroopassa on nyt pyritty saamaan itseään vähän kasaan, koska Yhdysvaltoihin ei tosiaan enää voi luottaa siinä niin kuin pääturvaajana ja ehkä ihan hyväkin, että Euroopassa mietitään tätä puolustuskuviota uusiksi, mutta mä en tiedä, jäikö sulle kovin luottavainen fiilis, kun hän sanoi, että jos Eurooppa Yhdysvaltoja tarvitsee, niin kyllä se Yhdysvallat sieltä tulee G.I. Joena ratsastaen paikalle. Mä en tiedä, vakuutunko mä kuitenkaan ihan täysin tästä lupauksesta.
No kyllä nyt sillä tavalla, että se oli vähän semmoinen, sieltä löytyi sellaista, tiedätkö, Mika Aaltola-linjaa. Sellaista, niin kuin, että nyt pitää niin kuin ottaa niskasta kiinni ja laittaa sitä fyrkkää puolustukseen. Ja kaikkihan siitä, musta tuntuu, että niin kuin Atlantin molemmilla puolilla on samaa mieltä siitä. Et varsinkin kun tänä CPAC-viikkona, kun katsoi sitä, että mitä suomalaisessa mediassa, miten pahasti se flippasi siitä niistä Trumpin puheista ja neuvotteluista ja kaikesta siitä Zelenskille kettuilusta ja sanat lensi molemmin puolin, että se varmasti on ollut ihan kauheata, mutta ainakin jos se niin kuin näistä ihmisistä olisi kiinni, niin kyllä Yhdysvallat varmaan niin kuin hädässä tulisi avuksi, mutta kun se Trump on siinä välissä kuitenkin ja kun Trump ei ole sillä tavalla, musta tuntuu, että nämä ihmiset oli kuitenkin jossain määrin ideologisesti sitä mieltä, että rahaa pitää laittaa johonkin muuhun. Yksi oli semmoinen keskustelu, mitä mä kävin semmoisen eteläkarolainalaisen 40-vuotiaan herrasmiehen kanssa, mitä ei nauhalle tullut, vaan ihan siinä niin kuin vessareissulla pysähdyin juttelemaan. Ja hän tosiaan sitten vetosi siihen, että kun lapsilla menee koulussa huonosti ja huumekriisi on päällä ja tälleen, niin minkä takia sitä rahaa pitää kaataa Atlantin yliin. Tavallaan sehän on hirveän ymmärrettävä näkökulma, että se ei ole semmoinen Trumpin pitäkää tunkkinne tyyppinen vastaus, vaan lähinnä semmoinen, että meillä on täällä näitä omia ongelmia, että hoidetaan nämä omat ongelmat ensin kuntoon ennen kuin autetaan sitten ulkomaita. Ja se retoriikkahan on hyvin tuttu ihan niin kuin kotimaan politiikastakin.
Joo, sitä mä jäin miettimään tuossakin yhteydessä, että miten paljon tämä näkyy sitten, jos Yhdysvallat ei enää tosiaan vaikka lappaa rahaa sinne Ukrainaan, mutta käytännössä se rahahan on semmoinen bumerangiliike, että kun sitten on kuitenkin ostettu pääasiassa Yhdysvalloista takaisin sitten sillä rahalla kaikki ne aseet ja ohjukset ja ammukset ja muuta, että niin kuin, rupeeko näkymään sitten jossain kohtaa, että kun pitää huolehtia omista ensin, niin sitten kohta iskeekin jonnekin pikkukaupunkiin työttömyys, kun paikallinen Lockheed Martinin tehdas ei enää teekään jotain hylsyjä samaan tahtiin. Että
joo, siis nimenomaan Lockheed Martinin osake ei tykännyt tästä kehityksestä.
Kyllä, mutta mielenkiintoista oli kyllä kuulla ja kiitokset edelleen Säkille ja Christopherille ja Keilalle, että jakoivat mietteitä ja jäämme kyllä mielenkiinnolla seuraamaan, että mihin tämä CPAC-yleisö tästä oikeastaan elää. Kiitos, että kuuntelet Vaalirankkurit-podcastia ja kuules, jos on mietteitä, mitä täällä CPACissa on kuultu ja haluat jakaa näitä mietteitä, pohdintoja, huomioita, ihan mitä vaan, kysymyksiä, joita haluat jakaa meidän kanssa, niin laita ihmeessä vaikka Instagramissa @vaalirankkurit-tilille. Siellä meillä on paljon hyviä keskusteluita teidän kuulijoiden kanssa ja se on kanava, joka meidät aika varmasti tavoittaa, sillä sen verran Instaan karanneita olemme tällä hetkellä sosiaalisen median narkkaamisessamme, joten laittakaa siellä ihmeessä viestejä, kysymyksiä, pohdintoja CPACista ja käydään keskustelua.
Ja jos tosiaan näet siellä kadulla sellaisen MAGA-hattuisen herrasmiehen tai mikä harvinaisempaa kenties jopa naisen, niin voit käydä vinkkaamassa hänellekin, että Vaalirankkurit, se vasta on podcastien podcast, sillä tässä otetaan kuulolle molempia osapuolia.
Both sides!
Vaalirankkurit palaa taas nyt. Moi moi!